And we are live. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to She Built It Boss Lady Chronicles. I am Sharita Gaskins Tollett. I am your host, and I am super excited about tonight's episode. But I want to give a few minutes for folks to come in while we're waiting. Just say hi in the comments. Let us know where you're watching us from. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, still say hi in the comments and let us know where you're watching us from because we want to know where you are. I do have a couple of announcements. First, registration is still open for A Weekend for Me, the premier wellness experience for professional women, taking place in Jamaica, June 20th to the 24th. This one is going to be absolutely amazing. It is a small, more intimate gathering than usual, taking place in a luxury villa. And this place is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Check out the website www.aweekendforme.com. Space is limited, but I do still have a few spots, but make sure you get yours today. So let's jump right in with our guest tonight. I have joining me Joe Peters. And I'm sorry, my computer wants to act up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so Joe is an experienced and passionate leader, speaker, coach, transformational trainer, mom, wife, and friend, not to mention a best-selling author of 2 books in 7 countries. She enjoys helping women discover how to have it all without doing it all, finding the best version of themselves, understanding that it's never about the money, the food, the kids, or the husband. Instead, it's always about them and the inner work they need to do to be able to live the life of their dreams that they totally deserve to live. Joe has over 17 years of experience working with Fortune 100 companies like Goodyear and PepsiCo and the leading personal development companies like Mindvalley. She has coached and trained over 15,000 people on 4 continents and in more than 25 countries. Joe has spoken in multiple universities, both in the US and internationally, and is frequently a podcast guest where she shares her knowledge and experience in a broader way. She is also the host of a TV show, Mom Fit, with Joe Peters, that reaches over 1 million viewers every week. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you so much, Rita, for having me. It's an honor and pleasure to be here with your beautiful community and to have this important conversation with you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited. So, when Joe and I first met, we did a call and she made me very jealous. She was on a beach in the DR. So, tonight she has at least decided not to break my heart again. She's in an office like I am. So, Joe, tell us. I know that you are an engineer by training, but tell us a little bit about yourself and about your journey. I know you worked in corporate America, but tell us about your time in corporate America and then the transition from corporate America to personal development work and entrepreneurship.
Perfect. So, I am Joe. People know me as the Unicorn Coach, and people know me as the Unicorn Coach because that transition that happened in corporate America, from corporate America into having my own business. I started working in corporate America right out of college as an engineer in Colombia, my home country, for Goodyear, and I was working in manufacturing. So I worked there, traveled the world like you kindly share with your audience. And then from there, I was transferred to the United States, to Alabama in 2012. And then I started getting in charge of the entire cultural change and leadership change on one of the most critical plants in North America for Goodyear. And from there, move into working for PepsiCo in manufacturing as well as an engineer. And all this time as an engineer, that was almost 15 years, I start gaining the ranks and keep going and crashing the ceiling, the glass ceiling for females, because I was not only a female, but I was one of the very few females in manufacturing,
Mm.
because actually there is very few females in engineering, and from the ones that graduate, the majority go to other areas. But so I was one of the few ones in manufacturing. I was the youngest one of all of them, and then also foreign one. One second.
Sure.
My baby was showing me the sticker, and
Ah.
daddy was on daddy duties, but apparently daddy duties are hard
Oh,
to
well, we all know
perform.
how that goes.
Yeah, daddy duties, and then the baby's here.
When they
Anyway,
want mommy, they want mommy.
when they want mommy, they want mommy. So then I start going into that, and I was also the youngest. And then when I came here, I was also an immigrant. So I was all the characters, and that made me buy in into this illusion and into this society constraint that I had to stop being myself in order
Mm,
to grow professionally. So
okay.
if you see me, I love sparkles and purple makeup, and I actually stopped being like that. If you saw me in my years in corporate America, early on, I always had my hair up, and I didn't have makeup, and I had very plain glasses. So I was trying to almost bring my male energy a lot to fit
Okay.
into that male world.
Sure.
And then that started not feeling good. And then when I moved to Pepsi, that started bothering me, and I started slowly remembering that magic that I had until I finished working for Pepsi, where I actually remember that I was a freaking unicorn, not a horse. And
Yes.
that is where it started the part of being the unicorn coach, and
Yes.
remembering and helping others to remember that we are not horses. We are unicorns, and we need to embrace that uniqueness and that magic.
I love that. I'm a unicorn, not a horse. So tell me, we a lot of women talk about that, about feeling like they can't show up as their full selves. They can't bring their authenticity to the workplace. What did that do for you? Because it sounds like it really started to kill your spirit almost.
So, one of the things that I truly believe, and is part of that right brain versus left brain, is each of us is different, and each of us came with a very specific set of skills and magic. And
Yeah.
unicorn, not all the unicorns are the same, because we have a purpose. Because with that set of skills, we are there to help others, to inspire others, to make a change in the world, in our family. And what happened is, when we are so afraid of others and what others are thinking about us, that we stop being us, then we forget that we're
Yeah.
a unicorn, and we start acting like a horse. And you know the difference. I'm not saying that horses are bad, but
Right.
horses don't have anything special. And that create that misalignment, and that emptiness, and that
Mm,
not feeling fulfilled. Because as less you are as you are, the who you are, as less likely is going to be for you to to finish your purpose
yes.
in life, to do the inspiration that you need to do the change that you need to do, to create the impact. So yeah, it literally
Right.
start draining you and start killing you. And in addition to that, Sharita, is freaking exhausting.
Yes.
It's trying to put a mask every day to show something that you know you are not. And to the point that I remember when I was in Goodyear, I get to a point that the mask was actually my regular self. And I will actually make jokes that in the weekends I will wear my girl costume.
Ah,
It was
wow.
that
So
disassociated.
the real you became the facade
No,
almost.
yes, crazy. And then I start feeling that misalignment, and I start having that feeling. I remember early on in my marriage, when we moved here, I had very strong depression. And I truly believe that things like depression, anxiety, OCD, all of those things in females especially can be triggered for that, for us trying to meet a workforce and a work environment that was not designed for females, trying to be as masculine as we can. I
Right.
remember crying in my bed saying, I have the perfect life.
Yes.
I'm making, we are $250,000 per year, six figures, happy marriage, beautiful house, check, 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 check.
Right.
And I was still not happy. And then us females raise your hand and comment in the video if you are good into shame. Then I start
Yes.
feeling a lot of shame because then I was like, what is wrong with me? Why I cannot be grateful? And I end understanding that it was because something was dying inside of me, and
Yes.
that unhappiness was actually my soul telling me, wake up, you are not a freaking horse, claim back who you are.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right that, we do this thing where we deny who we are, and it does such a disservice for us, but it's also a disservice for everybody around us, because I like you, I believe that we are all here on purpose with a purpose. And when we fail to fulfill our purpose, not only do we suffer, but the world suffers. The reason that you're here is because the world needs a you. It needs your special brand of magic that you bring to the table. And when you don't do that, when you don't bring that, everybody suffers. And you're right, it just kind of kills your soul to not be who you authentically are. And we have you talk about you checked all the boxes, but the thing is, you had it all in quotes, but it wasn't your all. And that's the thing that we have to understand, is that we can have it all, but it has to be our all. And it's very unique, and each of us gets to define that for ourselves. So tell us about your all, because I know that you're a unicorn now, hanging out on the beach, living your best life. So tell me about your all.
So I want to say thank you for helping to share that message, because that is one of the most important things, and is that checkbox, having it all. That having it all was designed, being very blunt, for white males to white males. And then
Yes.
we all get convinced that that is what having it all means. That is what having it all means for them,
Right.
not for us. And it's part of time for us to say that doesn't mean having it all. Part of one of those that is crazy is part of the having it all for them was the demand of working 80, 90, 100 hours per week.
Yes.
That doesn't work for me. And I'm not going to judge it. There could be females, especially females that don't decide to not have children, that will be having it all. But especially when you have a family, when you have children, having it all doesn't have room for you to be away from your home 60, 70, 80 hours all the time. So for me, having it all is a formula where I can feel a strong, healthy, confident in my health. I generate enough income to feel security financially and feel financially free, while enjoying and connecting those relationships that are very important for me. The priority, my husband, my child, that you saw both of them, and
Yes.
then my friends and family. So having it all for me means that it means being able to wake up, and I will not tell you not having problems because that will be a lie, but
Right.
waking up, having that sense of peace and joy, that I living life on my terms.
Yes.
That I'm living where I want to live. There are crazy things like, for example, I was talking with my husband last week about this. If I was still in corporate America, I will never be able to do what I did with my son, for example. And that was, I was able to have a nanny, and then my son was with me here in the house the first 2 years and a half of his life. If I was in corporate America, I will have to probably put him in a daycare at 6 weeks.
Yes.
Again, not judging, but that was not what having it all mean for me.
Right.
Now, for me, it's very important to be present in my son's life, and I enjoy teaching. So having it all for me is having the freedom to go to my son's preschool and give the other children Spanish lessons and yoga lessons.
Right. You want to get a drink? So, and you're absolutely right about that. About having it all, and about your priorities and those kinds of things, because so many times we don't even stop to ask ourselves, because we're so conditioned to be a part of the program and to feel like, there's this box that we have to stay in. You're not allowed to dream. You're not allowed to think about what you would want, what your life should look like, because this is what they told you it's supposed to be. And so I applaud you for figuring out, well, wait a minute, I want to be at home with my son. I want to spend time with him. I want to, enjoy my life, because at the end of the day, we get just the one, right? Just the one life, and you want to make the most of it, and you want to be able to enjoy it and do it on your terms.
And that is the part. Like if you are having that desire of entrepreneurship, that is where you need to start filling that up. But even if not, if you are like, no, I don't, then what I will invite you to do is start negotiating more vacation.
Yes.
Like it's ridiculous that you have to work 50 weeks to get two. Then if you're at two, negotiate in the next review 3 weeks, 4 weeks, more PTO is getting to a point of feeling that you are in control of your life, that you are the CEO of your life. And like you're saying, it looks different for everybody. One of my clients last year in the third trimester, third quarter of last year was saying that she was not happy with her house.
Hmm.
Immediately the society standard was you have to work harder so you make more money so you can buy a better house. And then we work, and I asked exactly what you asked, but what do you want? Not what is the expectation of you working more so you can
Right.
have more money. What do you want? And she was like, I don't want to work more, I just want to find a different house. Story short, he start actually, she's single, she start actually house sitting.
Oh, okay.
And since September, she's been living in these amazing houses exactly how she wanted, with the woods, with the ocean, all of that, without buying into, I have to work really harder
Right.
because I need to buy a house. Now she doesn't have one house. Now, in the last 7 months, she had 7 different houses and she's been able to enjoy that. That is what having it all means to her. And I
Right.
think that another big part of that, especially as women, we need to learn to support and encourage others even when they're having it all is different than ours.
Right. Right. Yes, I agree. We have to respect everybody's uniqueness, because again, we're not cookie cutters. We're not supposed to be the same. We're designer originals. Yeah, absolutely. So, tell us about your transition. So, I know that you started to feel this disease, if you will, in corporate America, and you realized that it was out of alignment with your priorities. How did you come to make the transition, and what gave you the confidence and the security, if you will, or if you had security? Tell me about the emotions that you were experiencing, and then what gave you the push or the nudge that you could really do this.
So, like you were saying, there was a misalignment with my values. That is something that I will encourage everybody. If you don't have clear what your personal values are, that is something that I will give you as a homework this week. Find 3 to 5 core values that are important for you. All I Because probably because I'm an engineer, I try to run my life like if it was a company.
Yes.
And then you see in every company that you work and in every company that you buy from, they always have their values and they
Yes.
run their company based on their values. Their values are very different, but the decisions on their companies are based on those values. So part of my values start getting compromised with how the dynamics of corporate America, right? Because if you're in corporate America, you know that you can say a lot of things, but at the end, the decisions are made, especially when it's a open company, are based on the stock value market. And then I start feeling that misalignment with not treating people and teams and leaders as humans, but
Mhm.
then having that everything has to be based on the stock market, even if that means breaking promises, even if
Ah,
that means changing plans, even if that means not doing something that we said that we were going to do. And that start literally killing me. Like I
yes.
remember coming home crying. I actually remember very clear end of January, February, I was driving like a 2, 3 hour drive from one of my places. And I remember the snow following and me having to drive like at 25 miles per hour, because between the snow and all the tears of me crying, I barely was able to see, to watch. And that came 2 months, 3 months. And then one night, my husband told me, why are you doing this to yourself? Like you, you have so much talent. You are so good at what you do. You don't need to put yourself into this. Do you think that you're going to be able to change it? Like, no. I've been
Yeah.
already into corporations and they are the same.
Right.
One a little better than the other one, but overall the same. So he put that seed on me and he was like, hey, you know what? I have a corporate job that I'm okay with it. We can adjust our finances and give it a try and see what else you can do that make you feel happy again and aligned. And that was like a seed, a plant seed. And one of
Mhm.
the things that is being a game changer for me my entire life is because of the personal development that I started early on, is I always had a coach. I
Mhm.
think that you can figure out things by yourself, but when you are working with a coach, when you have somebody there to hold your hand, to help you, things go faster, easier, more effective. I'm all about being effective and efficient. So then I talked with my boss, with my coach, and I was like, "Look, what do you think about this?" And we work to it. We work on a plan, and then that plan was based into being very rational into the fears, because
Okay.
that is one of the reasons why we don't make the transition. The fears of, what if this is not successful? What if I
Right.
fail? What if I don't make money? What if I'm a joke? What if? So what we did was we put all those what ifs, and we actually, with my engineering mind, make almost a contingency. So it
Mhm.
was a risk and it was a jump, but I find a way to feel confident that was a control risk, that was a control chance, and that I was able to activate something different if things didn't work.
You know what? Can you unpack that for us a little bit? Because when I talk, there's so many, you're right. Fear is at the center of so much inertia. So many women feel fear, and that's what's holding them back from pursuing their dreams. So I would love if you could unpack a little bit how you address that fear in a systematic engineering kind of way.
Okay, so the first thing there, to share, that I truly believe is very important, and I think that is one of the reasons why working with somebody like you, with me, coaches, is very important. I know that you are going to having your magical retreat where you're doing some of this
Yes.
magic. Is um knowing your strengths and what resonates to you and what don't. Why I'm telling you that? Because it's very important to know your archetypes. Because I think that is one of the reasons why it's so hard to overcome the fear.
Yes.
Because the fear is different depending on our archetypes. And if we are trying to address fear in the same way, then that is where we feel frustrated. That, to tell you, in archetypes, I am what is called a ruler accumulator. And then for those archetypes, everything is a lot about logic, about organization, about checklists, about details. So I start by saying, looking into the worst scenario. So I
Mhm.
write down, okay, I'm gonna make the change. What is the worst thing that will happen?
Right.
And then immediately, because one of the things that I always fight with society is we are being having this misconception that fear is bad. So if I'm afraid, then I need to push that. I need to be brave and don't do it. Actually, fear is one of the most amazing emotions, because fear is just a signal that is telling us, oh, there could be potential danger. I
Mhm.
want to keep you alive
Right.
because my job is keeping you surviving. Therefore, the fear is there. So then when I did that, what is the worst thing that could happen? Then immediately my fear was like, we will lose everything. We will have to sleep under a bridge and don't have food and have to eat tuna. And then I write it down, because one tip when you are facing fear, I call it the monster in the closet. Our fears are always, always bigger and scarier in our mind.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
why you need to take pen or paper and write it down, because as soon as you take them from your mind, it's literally the same that when you go with a little kid and you open the closet and turn the light on, and then you're like,
Yes.
oh, that monster was actually not a monster. So
Yes.
I when I write down that, I was like, okay, second step, how true this will be. Even if I never had a client in my life, even if I never create any income, what is the likelihood of me sleeping under the bridge?
Right.
For me was different because I had the security of my husband. So I was like, that will never happen because we can live. We are not going to live as fluent as we are now, but we still can survive in his
Right.
income. Then I did that with every single one. What if I fail? Define failure. This is another one that is big.
Yes.
I'm afraid of failure. What is failure for you? Will be that your parents don't recognize you, that your friends don't recognize you. Well, honey, let me tell you something. Even if you are successful, they are still probably not going to recognize you,
Yes.
especially in the entrepreneurship world. So, and that is why it's very important to do this kind of work and exercise, not by yourself, but with support of somebody. Work with a coach, especially if you are thinking in that transition. Work with a coach, with
Right.
a mentor, if not at least a friend that you know that can be that sounding board that can be a reflection of what you are going through, and then start writing down fears, then how likely is that fear to happen. Okay, 0 to 10, for example, living under the bridge for me
Yes.
was a 0. Not being able to have clients, that was a decent fear. It was a 7, 8. Then for the ones that actually were really possible, then I start brainstorming with another part of my archetype, that is the alchemist,
Mhm.
into, okay, what will be the plan if this happened, then what I will do. Then
Mhm.
if I don't make any clients and I don't, my business don't start creating income, I say, okay, I'm gonna give myself 3 years.
Okay.
And I say, okay, if in 3 years I see that it's not going anywhere, then I'm gonna go back and find another job.
And you know what? You just hit the nail on the head because I think what, we think about things as this being a permanent thing. Like if we make this decision, we're going down this road and we can never go back. But almost none of the decisions that we make are permanent decisions. They are things that we can rethink and retool and pivot. You can pivot over and over again. But if you don't, have that insight that you can pivot when things don't go the way you want to, or maybe you quote unquote failed, but instead of thinking of it as failure, maybe you learned a lesson, and now you learned a way that how not to do it, and you can do it a different way, or you can improve upon what you've done. And I love talking about the fact that you had a plan for each of the contingencies. I think that's I think that's really, but it's really important because it does help to give you like I said, the courage and whatever. You like, okay, so you have some people need that structure. They need to know what's going to happen if.
And then with the fail, I usually tell my clients, fail is not a word, it's an acronym that I saw. And it's fail means first attempt in learning. That is what
Mm,
failing is. Fail is not something bad. Fail is just we try something for the first time and then we learn something. If work didn't work. And the other thing that is very important, I love, 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 and resonate so much when you were saying about pivoting and adjusting, because that is something else that keep us, is a very male energy, and keep us into this trap of the all or nothing mentality. So if I go as an entrepreneur, I can never be a work. Actually, do you know how many different ways are to make a bed?
countless, I'm sure.
Countless. Actually, if it's just the fitted sheet, you have 64 different ways, because you have four corners on the mattress, four corners on the sheet, and eight corners on the mattress. So you have 8 and 8, 64 different ways to start doing it. And at the end, the bed is made. Why I'm saying that? You can be like me and have a spouse that had a salary that can support you. You can talk with your parents and or somebody else and go and move with them and cut your income. You can keep working in your corporate job and start working in your business in the evenings. It will take more time on the weekends. You can actually quit the job, get a less paying job that is a part-time that
Yeah.
still will pay the bills while your business. You can. So
Right.
instead of having that mentality of I either have to have my six-figure corporate job and security, or I need to be a six-figure business owner, actually keep us stuck into that fear is no. In my programs, I call something that is called 50 shades of joy. In between those two are 50 different
Yes.
shades of what plan will work for you based on your strengths, based on your resources, based on your support system. It's matter of you to have an open canvas to put all the
Yeah.
possibilities, and then as a puzzle start building which set of possibilities will work better for you now. And like you were saying, I applaud that, being flexible to know that if in 3 months, 6 months, these sets are not working, change it
Right.
up,
Yes.
adjust it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I just wish this, we get stuck in this mentality. It's almost like we don't give ourselves permission. We tell ourselves a story about something, and we don't give ourselves permission to think about it in another way. I actually shared this with my community a few weeks ago. I was listening to a coach who was talking about vacation and how important rest is, especially for entrepreneurs. And he was saying that he started by taking 2 week vacations and then 3 week vacations. And immediately my brain said, well, that's good for him. He can do that. I can't do that. And then I said, well, wait a minute. What are you thinking? So I sat there and I thought about it and I said, well, I actually get 5 weeks of vacation from my job. I have access to properties in other places where I would not have to spend a lot of money to stay. So there's really not a reason I couldn't take 2 weeks at a time, except that I told myself that I couldn't do it. And so, how many times do we tell ourselves things that are just not true? And I always talk to my community about challenging your thoughts. Where did that thought come from? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it serving you? And who said that it had to be that way?
Absolutely. And it's funny because I think that that is something that every entrepreneur that is moving from corporate gets stuck at some point. Because for me, it was the same. I had 4 weeks of vacation in corporate. And for the first 3 years of my entrepreneurship journey, I didn't take any time off. Even when I was in vacation, I still had my computer and I was working because it was my own business. And then I
Right.
have that call out. And then I was like, "Oh, how?" And then I remember it was similar, but I remember saying, I did this because I want more freedom. And instead of having more freedom and having less freedom, because at least in corporate, in those 4 weeks, I will close
Right.
the computer and forget
Yes.
about corporate.
Yeah.
And then but then the mind, that is something else that is important, that all the nothing, if I was going to try at year number 3 to go from 0 to 4 weeks, I will fail because I didn't have the systems to do that. So I started small. I said, like, okay, I'm gonna book 1 week where I'm not going to do anything. I'm gonna book, and then I start as an entrepreneur at the beginning of the year booking my time off and block it in my calendar so nobody could
Yes.
schedule anything. So it's my time off. And then from there start moving because I love that. I was listening to Wayne Dyer 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and he was saying, like, what it will take for you to drop that story, the
Yes.
story that you cannot take. And I'm like, hell yes. So now I am back into I am back this year closer to get to 6 weeks of vacation versus the 4 that I had in corporate,
Yes.
saying it's possible.
Right. But how do you, because so many people think this way, how do you, with your clients, how do you get them to begin to expand their thinking, to, start to challenge those thoughts and to consider the possibilities, to kind of open their minds? Because I know for me, I'm an OBGYN, and I had this idea that I could only work one way forever, and it wasn't until something happened in my practice that caused me that kind of freed me to look around to see what the possibilities might be. But I almost feel like had that not happened, I might still be there thinking that I needed to be there for the rest of my life doing that way. So how do you, for women who are wanting more, they know they want more in their heart, their soul, their spirit knows that they want more, but they don't believe that they can do things in a different way. How do you start them on that path of expansion?
Okay. The first step, and I'm a big fan of that, is find a way to work with a coach.
Yes.
If you cannot work every week, work every 2 weeks, if not once per month. But that coach is going to help you to mirror back and say, really, why you cannot have more than 2 weeks of vacation? And those
Right.
questions are going to help you. Number two, that I tell all my clients, and I will tell all your community, we are the average of the 5 people that we spend more time with.
Yeah,
Why?
you snapped before. I'm going to snap on this one.
Why that is important? Because if you only spend time with people that are thinking the same way, that are inside that box, that are in corporate, that are struggling, that are not happy, you are not going to have reference to change your story. I give back the concept of the first runner that run a mile on under, that run 3 miles on under, it was, anyway, 1 mile under 4 minutes. It take him months because there was nobody before him that run a mile on under 4 minutes. Guess what? As soon as he hit 3 minutes and 59, within weeks, everybody else start reaching 4 minutes
Yeah.
per mile. Why? Because as soon as your brain can see an evidence that is possible, then your mind literally
Right.
expands.
Yes.
So what is so important? A coach help you to expand. A coach show you that it's possible. Like you, when you are coaching your clients, you're like, I'm having 5 weeks and I'm having all this. And they're like, oh, that's possible.
Yes.
And then one thing I say, if you are the most, and this may sound rough, but I truly believe that if you are the most evolved, the most financial free, the best healthy wise, and the best relationships in your group of friends, you are staying too small.
Yes.
You
Yes.
need to be around and have friends and have communities where you actually feel that you are the less one. And because
Right.
then you are always seeing what is possible, what is
Exactly.
possible, what is possible. It's important for us to be able to identify in others that what we want is possible, not impossible. Say,
Yes.
oh, I know that I can do it because Charita did it and she's enjoying her vacation. So
Right.
if she did it, I can. I think that that is one of the biggest ones into that. And I think that the third one, so first one, a coach, second one, 5 people that you spend more time with to expand. And then the third one is inner work and limiting beliefs that
Yeah.
you build in your mind that are buried in your subconscious, in your reptile brain, that you are actually not even aware of them, that they just come up when you are triggered. Work on healing them, work on releasing them, work on that what is normally called inner child work, where you
Yes.
can actually heal and release those limiting beliefs so that you can keep expanding without something holding you back.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Joe, I could keep talking probably for another hour, but I know I'm sure your son is is still wanting mommy, And I'm sure our viewers have more things to do, but I have so enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for all of the pearls that you've dropped. But I want to give you, before in the last few minutes that we have, I want to give you an opportunity to tell us about your books, how we can, what they're about, how we can get them. Also, tell us about your TV show, how we can watch, what it's about, and about your coaching programs.
Okay, thank you so much. And I agree with you. I feel like we are just two friends catching up and we could stay all night talking with a glass of wine. I will tell you, my books are Ignite for Women and Ignite for Women Leaders. And you can find them in Amazon. And I will share the link for your audience to have them in Amazon. And they are all to ignite and spark that in us as females and in us as female leaders. Then, if you would love to chat with me, or if there was something that I say that you were like, that is wrong, you can follow me on Joe Unicorn Coach and send me a message. I actually handle my own messages and my own social media. So I will be the one answering you. And I
Okay.
always love to have those conversations because I think that that is how we bring things to the next level. So you can follow me in Joe Unicorn Coach. If you want to learn more about me, my website is www.joeunicorncoach.com. And I have a free book for females into how to drop being a perfectionist. So you can actually
Mm,
start taking bold actions and not letting perfectionist holding you back. And with my program, I have a very into the unicorn side, into the female energy. I have a very unique model where is a one-time investment, lifetime access, and is a cohort that is intensive every 6 weeks. We start the next one in 4 weeks at the end of May, and it's all about having that community to help you to keep those bubbles where they
yeah.
are, not go to rock bottom. So if any of your audience resonate with that and want to hear more about that, please let me know. I'm here to serve you and support you, and like Charita is doing as well. I think that our mission here is show you the path to know that whatever you are dreaming is possible, and that
Yes.
if you are dreaming it, a future version of you already have it, and it's just matter of us together holding hands, finding that path to get there.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And then I just want to, kind of put a footnote on this, just because, registration is open for a weekend for me. And so much of what Joe and I talked about tonight is involved in the workshops and things that we do at a weekend for me are very similar to what we talked about. We actually take time to get off of the hamster wheel, because we live on a hamster wheel. We live on autopilot. We break that cycle. We go to a quiet, beautiful place with like-minded women. We talked about the community and being surrounded by people who are thinking maybe some of the things that you are thinking, that are thinking higher thoughts and reaching for higher goals. So that's the first thing. The community is amazing. And then the next thing is we look at our lives in an honest way. We look at our core values. We look at what our priorities are, because the reality is that, and it's probably, Joe, you probably found this too, that once you became a mother, you had very different priorities than you did when you were not a mother. And that's actually kind of what sparked my journey. Is my priorities changed drastically, but I realized that my professional life had remained the same. And there was this, incongruence. And I think when things are out of alignment that way, it just makes you unhappy and unfulfilled. And so we actually look at our core values. We look at our priorities, what our priorities are today. We look at how we spend our time and how they match. And then if they don't match, we make plans. We make a plan for how we can get from where we are to where we want to be. And we actually dream. We sit there and I say to the ladies, if there were no red lights, only green lights, no stop signs, what would your life be? Like there are no boundaries. If you could have anything, what would it be? Because so often we don't ask ourselves those kinds of questions. We think we have to fit into this mold that society has created for us, or that our family has created for us. And there's things that we tell ourselves we just can't have. And it's not true. You can have whatever you want to have. You get to define your all. So if you are a lady who's looking to define your all, and you want to do it in surrounded by other women who are forward thinking and wanting to reach their next level, I encourage you, www.aweekendforme.com. Secure your space today because it is going to be a phenomenal event.
I'm looking forward to see some pictures of that and see how we can plan to do one together.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. So thanks again, Joe. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing with our audience. We'll have all of your contact information and information to purchase the book in the show notes. So thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you got a lot out of this as we did, and we'll see you next week. Take care.